Class 150, a steady design from Brow from the 1980s. Today, we see if it still holds up to the standards it has 40 years ago on Eleanor's Marston Vale Line. Let's hop on the service. The interior is a pretty standard commuter train layout with 3x2 seating. This train also doesn't offer any sort of air conditioning. Instead, it offers hopper windows, which is not great, seeing that we are travelling on a day which temperatures are reaching 31 degrees Celsius. This train also features a universally accessible toilet, which is added as part of Northern Rail's refurbishment. This train also does not offer the typical electrical sliding doors we see on newer trains today, but instead they are operated manually, which is common on the Mark III design. The other coaches do a similar layout, the only difference being the absence of a toilet. This train is a commuter train, so it does not offer seat reservations, so I'm free to pick whichever seat I like. Departure from Bedford is half a minute early. Then, we quickly split ways from the busy Midland Main Line, home to EMR services from London and the Midlands, such as Derby and Sheffield, and Thameslink services down to the Brighton Main Line. From here, we entered the Marston Vale Line, a former part of the Varsity Line from Oxford to Cambridge. This section of the line is limited to 15 miles per hour due to the tight radius of the line. Here, we see the Bedford Caldwell Walk depot, housing a few of Thameslink's Class 700 desirous cities. Some of East Midlands Railway's Class 360s are also stabled here for the London to Corby EMR Connect services. Here's a good point to talk about this line's history. As mentioned earlier, this line is part of the former Varsity Line, which was formed by 3 segments. Then, they were all incorporated by the London and Northwestern Railway, which was later part of the London, Midland and Scottish Railway in the Big Four era. It was a useful line for freight bypassing London and helped passengers to get between the Chiltern, West Coast and East Coast routes. At the end of World War II, the beaching cuts caused the line between Oxford and Bedford and Bletchley to Cambridge to close. In 2015, Chiltern Railways reopened the line between Bicester and Oxford, and as of today, the East West Rail scheme has successfully rebuilt the section between Bicester and Bletchley. However, no passenger services have commenced yet, and the line is solely used for freight. The East West Rail scheme plans to reopen the line between Bedford and Cambridge, looking to reopen the entirety of the former Varsity Line. For the remainder of this journey to our next stop, Bedford St John's, let's enjoy the running sounds of this service. We arrived into Bedford St John's on time. Then, we quickly depart Bedford St John's half a minute early. Starting from here, the line speed is a stable 60 miles an hour until Bletchley. see, this unit has a northern interior. This is because of the units that are operated on this line from 2019 to 2022. The Viva Rail Class 230D trains were withdrawn from service due to Viva Rail entering administration, causing LNR to replace the service due to concerns about maintenance. The service was operated with replacement buses until LNR could obtain Class 150s that went off lease from Northern Rail. They operated peak time services only until LNR obtained the full fleet of 3 Class 150-1s. In my opinion, the Class 230s seem to suit the nature of the line better due to a 60 mph top speed and a mixture of longitudinal and transverse seating, which for a journey of 41 minutes is pretty decent. Additionally, it is also a waste of new rolling stock, with the unit sitting at Lord Marston only after 4 years of service. Although the concerns of maintenance issues is relatively major, some other operators such as GWR, TFW and SWR have managed to maintain their own units. I personally believe that the Class 230s from LNR could be used on some of the GWR Thames Valley branches due to their relatively low demand, which suits the shorter 2-coach trains compared to GWR's existing 3-car set, a top speed of 50 mph, and they can also displace the Class 165s further out west to the Bristol and Exeter areas. They are also much suited for the stop-start nature of such lines due to its diesel-electric multiple unit design. Half a minute early. As you just experienced at Kempton Hardwick, the acceleration noises are relatively loud due to the diesel engines mounted under the unit. The Class 150 sends engine in both of its coaches, providing strong power to power the unit. We are now here at Millbrook. We can clearly hear the engine idling noises, which are also present on electric trains, but way quieter. Again, these are due to the diesel engines. Let's talk about the history of these units. The Class 150 was built as a unit to replace the older first generation DMUs that British Rail had. Along with the rail buses, later got the Pacers, which were used for low cost running on branch lines, the Class 150s managed to do an excellent job in both terms of reliability and efficiency. A total of 137 units were built by Rail between 1984 and 1987. After privatisation, these units were cascaded and used by nearly every regional service operator, proving its reliability. As of now, Great Western Railway, Northern Trains, Transport for Wales and London Northwestern Railway still use Class 150s on their routes. They are getting displaced by newer DMUs or multi-mode units. 160 units are still in service. The Class 150 also led to other iconic sprinters being developed, such as the Class 155, 156, 158 and 159 to form the wider Sprinter family, which still works hard on the British network today. Let's look at the seats of this train. On the wall, each table seat shares 2 USB charging ports, which are slightly outdated and at which more trains often Type-C ports. The seats are in a pretty ergonomic design, which are certainly better than the newer ironing board seats found on Class 387s and the desirable cities. However, a thing that disappointed me about this train is the lack of any tables in these seats, which could be a bit annoying for longer journeys if you have a decent amount of stuff that you need quick access to. I believe even those mini tables in the Class 165s will do. We depart our last intermediate stop, Fenny Stratford, 1 minute early. However, the seats are also pretty firm in texture, having padding at the base of the seat, but also pretty firm. The back of the seat offers decent comfort at the base, but at the top it offers a pretty soft texture, which is pretty comfortable. After approximately 2 minutes, we arrived near Bletchley, an important station on the West Coast Main Line, just one stop south of Milton Keynes. The city is fairly industrial, with its history of railway starting as early as 1838, with services from London Euston to Birmingham Curzon Street, which is also the future Birmingham terminus of High Speed 2. So, what do I think about this journey? Well, the Class 150 offers decent comfort for commuting journeys under an hour, which would be pretty uncomfortable for longer journeys with its 3x2 seating. Unfortunately, the announcements on this train did not seem to work, or played at very low volume, which is a bit frustrating at times for line's first riders like me. These are also high back refurbished units, with Northern trains still running some low back unrefurbished Class 150s, which as far as I know are pretty uncomfortable. Other operators with Class 150s, such as Great Western Railway, Transport for Wales and Northern Trains, have made some of or all of their Class 150s 2x2 seating, which I imagine would be better suited for longer journeys, especially sometimes Transport for Wales offers them on service from Shrewsbury to Swansea via the Heart of Wales line, which takes around 4 hours. I'd imagine that would be pretty uncomfortable. Journey, I paid £6 for an off-peak single from Bedford to Wolverton. The price for just the Bedford to Bletchley portion is £9 for an adult fare without a rail card, or £4.50 for concessionary fare, which is a decent price for a communal railway. We arrived to Bletchley just under a minute early. From there, I'll be catching a train to Wolverton to do a train spotting video. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.